All right, let's dive into a really foundational piece of Web3 infrastructure. We're looking at a great analysis by BGVC on the Ethereum Name Service, ENS. But first, I want to start with a question for anyone out there who's ever sent crypto. You know that feeling, right? That little jolt of panic right before you hit send? That fear that you mess something up? Yeah, that's a pretty universal feeling in crypto. And honestly, there's a very good reason for it. Because this is what you're up against. A 42-character string of just gibberish. I mean, it's perfect for machines, but for our human brains, it's a total nightmare to remember, let alone double check. There's actually a name for this feeling, transaction anxiety. And it is 100% justified. Why? Because on the blockchain, there is no undo button. There's no customer service to call. One single typo, just one wrong character, and poof, your assets are just gone, forever. It's a huge barrier for people trying to get into this space. But here's the thing. The solution of this problem is something we've actually seen before. Just think back to the early days of the internet. We didn't get around by typing in a string of numbers like an IP address. No way. We used the domain name system, or DNS, to turn that computer speak into something simple, like google.com. Well, ENS does the exact same thing for crypto, turning that horrible address into a clean, human-readable name like company.eth. So what exactly is ENS? Well, at its heart, it's a decentralized, open, and totally extensible naming system built right on Ethereum. The absolute easiest way to get your head around it is to just think of it as the public phone book for Web3. It's just mapping names we can all read to all sorts of machine identifiers, like those long crypto addresses. Okay, so how does this whole machine actually work under the hood? It's actually surprisingly elegant. It's all built on just a few core parts that work together perfectly. You've basically got 4 key smart contracts. First up, the registry. Think of this as the master list. It's the source of truth for who owns what name. Second, you have resolvers. These are the translators. They do the actual work of pointing a name like alice.eth to her crypto address. Third, we have the registrars. These guys are the gatekeepers for all the ETH names, setting the rules for how you register and renew them. And finally, you've got the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, which is basically a community of users who govern the whole system, making the rules and guiding its future. But ENS is so much more than just a convenient piece of tech. I mean, the on-chain data shows a project that has incredible traction and a seriously sustainable business model. The adoption numbers are just staggering. We're talking over 2.8 million .eth names registered. This is not some niche little tool. It has become a core piece of digital identity for millions of people in Web3. And all that adoption, it translates directly into real money. ENS is generating around $45 million in annualized revenue, mostly from people registering and renewing their names. And what's so cool about this is that it acts more like a traditional SaaS business with predictable recurring revenue, which, is a really rare sign of stability in the wild world of crypto. But the real power of ENS, its secret sauce, comes from the network effect. It is just so deeply woven into the fabric of Web3. All the major wallets, MetaMask, Coinbase, they support it right out of the box. Top apps like Uniswap use it to make things simpler. Even Etherscan uses ENS to put a human layer on all that raw block data. And this is crucial. Your name, it's an NFT, a unique token on the blockchain that you and only you truly own and control. So this deep integration, it all points to a really fascinating future. ENS is perfectly positioned to become this critical bridge between the decentralized world and, you guessed it, traditional finance on Wall Street. The best analogy from the old school finance world is that ENS could become the CUSIP of Web3. A CUSIP is basically just a serial number for a stock or a bond used to identify it everywhere. Well, in the same way, an ENS name can become that standard, easy-to-read identifier for any on-chain asset or company. So what does this actually unlock for the big institutions? Well, they can link an ENS name, say Goldman Sachs.eth, directly to their verified legal identity for compliance. That's the whole KYC/KYB thing. They can use names to clearly label tokenized real-world assets, like a private equity fund or a piece of real estate. And maybe the biggest one of all, they can use ENS internally for their own treasury operations, drastically cutting down the risk of accidentally sending millions of dollars to the wrong address.
This brings us to what the source material calls the Trojan Horse adoption strategy. See, institutions aren't going to adopt ENS because they suddenly love decentralization. No, they're going to adopt it because it's a super practical risk management tool. But once it's inside their workflows for safety, it naturally starts pulling them deeper and deeper into the Web3 ecosystem for identity and asset management.
Now, the thing that makes this huge, large-scale adoption actually possible is the upcoming ENS v2 upgrade. By moving to a layer 2 network, which is just a faster, cheaper network built on top of Ethereum, ENS is going to slash its fees and crank up its speed. This move is what will make it cheap and efficient enough for an institution to manage thousands or even millions of names. So it all leaves us with this one big question. If a long crypto address is just a location on the blockchain, and an ENS name gives that location a real identity, what happens when every single asset, every fund, and every institution in the entire global financial system can finally have a clear, verifiable name on chain? The implications of that, they're just absolutely profound.